It's hard to be a teenager. The high percentage of students across the country in schools, in all kinds of neighborhoods, are experiencing incidents of violence, incidents of verbal abuse, physical fights, people bringing guns onto campuses in ways that make them feel like very unsafe places.
Well, there's gangbanging, he said, she said, boyfriend, girlfriends fighting, then when they broke up, they're all mad at each other.
There's a lot of different races of kids, like they have problems with the other race.
Rumors, it seems to be the big one, and with rumors, the possibility of physical fights seem to come out of those.
She said, you wanted to fight me. You said this about my mother, that about my mother, or this person said they want to fight me, or you want to fight me, and so forth and so forth. It's basically relatively minor things that lead to these things. If we don't deal with them now, then they do get out of hand.
The more important question is, how do we address that violence, and how can students know how to manage conflict and to actively prevent it from happening before it reaches that stage?
In order to be able to feel open enough to learn, they need to feel comfortable in their environment. And if they don't feel safe and they don't feel comfortable from a whole variety of standpoints, it'll be very difficult to teach and very difficult to learn.
Peer mediation is a style of conflict resolution where peers or fellow students, help them to solve their conflicts.
Come on in.
8:25.
Okay, we've got everybody here bright and early, I know. But thank you guys for coming. It's very, very, very important.
School peer mediation is very unique. We not only have to prepare students with the skills to understand the mediation process, but we also have to create a safe environment for them to express their feelings and also to empower them as youth.
Everything I hear in mediation is confidential. Listen respectfully to all those who bring their problems to mediation.
It provides a framework in which they can sit down with one or more fellow students with whom they are disagreeing, and they are the ones who devise their own solutions to problems. And that's very empowering in a school or a society that sets a lot of rules.
So I wanted to give you guys a chance to give some feedback about your experience.
So this kid got laser pointed in the eye.
Okay, there were these two girls, and they were having a fight, and it seemed to be about one making comments about the other about her body, but it was actually about someone stealing a password of MySpace, and someone looking at their messages, and someone telling somebody else to commit suicide, and it was really, really confusing.
Students can refer themselves. They can be referred by a parent, a teacher, or a staff or faculty member, such as a counselor. They can also be referred anonymously by other friends, and we have peer mediation boxes located in our main office and our library. Once students are referred, I usually do intake with the students and try to assess the level of the problem, and then the students are given the option to voluntarily participate in peer mediation, where two of their peers who've been selected and trained for over 40 hours as peer mediators during a 3-day training are able to help the students assess their problem, do an opening statement, express their feelings.
So you feel as if people aren't being very honest and you just want people to know what people are actually thinking?
Exactly.
Thank you. Now I'm going to introduce you to something. It's called an I feel statement.
I feel betrayed.
They help them focus on interests rather than the people that they're conflicting with, and go through that process with them, and then hopefully reach a settlement or agreement that the students come to collaboratively and that they can have buy-in and work towards on campus.
When you come into peer mediation, they step away from the crowd and everyone that's listening, and they can sort of, really get their feelings out and talk about things. And that's important because when people are around their friends, they act differently, and when you get them in a structured environment, they talk differently, they act differently, they say things that they normally wouldn't say, and they step back and we help them solve their problem. I mean, for a better environment, I think that there's less hatred and less violence, and that's definitely what peer mediation is helping us to do.
Now, do you feel that we've reached a sufficient conclusion?
Anyone can be a peer mediator. What we look for in students are good listeners, role models, and we kind of have them look at conflict in the community and at home in a different way, where they are looking at it as something that happens naturally, and because it happens naturally, there's a way for students to handle it in a way that's different from what they're normally used to. I don't want you guys to leave here and not be able to take the information that you learned and use it. If it's not at home, if it's not with friends.
Mediation is a way for our students to solve their problems without getting the deans involved. A good mediator should be a really, really good listener who does not interrupt people. Be able to connect what people are saying to each other instead of telling them what they think they should do.
You gotta have good memory, you gotta have patience, and you have to listen.
Mediation skills have helped me become more calm and think more clearly about how to agree on something.
Anna is a DRS peer mediator at Carnegie Middle School. She's in 8th grade. This year, she was recognized by the County Board of Supervisors as the Outstanding Peer Mediator of the Year.
She's a role model for other students, has mediated well over 30 student peer mediations of all sorts and all kinds of conflicts.
Throughout this week is Mediation Week here throughout Los Angeles County. For 19 years now, we have funded a local dispute resolution program. These programs, which utilize specially trained volunteers, are a very valuable service to the public and the courts by providing alternative means for settling disputes outside the traditional judge and jury system.
There's other ways of solving the problem. You don't have to do all those fighting and everything. I want to see more like people agreeing on stuff rather than fighting.
We're going to have a little arm wrestling competition. Oh, okay?
It's a real success for us. Peer mediation is a way for students to solve problems on campus themselves. Instead of it always being discipline, you did something bad, you get a detention, you did something bad, you get sent out of school, you did something bad, you get suspended. It's more, okay, how can we resolve this issue? As opposed to just meting out a punishment for a bad choice.
It gives us a lot of other options with which to deal with our problems. It gets to the point where if we don't have another option, then all we can do is suspend or send home, and we don't wish to do that. By having the peer mediation, we do have another option that works, and it does work, and that's the important thing, and it does quiet down problems on campus.
So next time you're in mediation, remember that next time you see the students that won't come to a compromise, all they're doing is arm wrestling.
These programs, if they are part of the culture of a school, make an enormous difference for individual students and for the school environment and the learning environment.
You might say that the rhetoric of our community is violence, but not today. Not today. Because of the peer mediation program has helped develop that communication that has changed the language of violence.
Before we were working together here, there was fights. There's always been fights here. But since peer mediation came and we've been promoting the program, students have a choice now. You know, whether, to get into a fight or at least go try to work it out privately.
What peer mediation has become is a part of the school language, a part of the school community, and it's not necessarily the answer to everything, but it is an answer, and we're all working together to make the school environment a better place.